Webb whips a metal telephone box at a corrections officer.
If I were to look at someone 10 feet away, because this is capable of stopping that, does not mean that that is not readily capable of causing death or serious physical injury.
Webb was found guilty of third-degree assault and sentenced to 15 years in prison. And for his attempt to run over the two jail employees, he was later found guilty of 2 counts of attempted murder and got an additional 37 years. Bass Webb was facing a total of 52 years behind bars, but more disturbing accusations were on the way. While incarcerated, he was charged with the unsolved murder of an ex-girlfriend. Facing a possible death sentence if convicted at trial, Webb pled guilty to the murder and got an additional 50 years. Now, 5 years later, Bass Webb is back in court yet again after being charged with the murder of a different girlfriend nearly a decade earlier. Cold case came back to haunt him after a jailhouse tip led to the discovery of the woman's remains. This time, as he's let in, he reveals a new sinister look that shocks those in attendance. A closer look at Webb's recent head tattoos reveals a demented murder hit list. It reads, "Those that must die, all judges, all prosecutors, all cops, the media." Below that, 3 rats have been scratched out, and many more, plus an expletive on the other side. Gruesome details emerge about how Webb choked his girlfriend to death, buried her body in a shallow grave. When the judge asks Webb to come forward, he remains seated and smiles. Finally, after more than a week in the courtroom, the judge reads the jury's verdict.
Guilty of the offense of intentional murder.
Bass Webb is then sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Sit down and be quiet.
Our next story takes us to Las Vegas, Nevada,
Use
where
damage.
Judge Douglas
Kind
Herndon is
of
presiding.
nice. What is it?
The defendant is Gary Walters, who's on parole for various financial crimes. He's in court today over restitution he was ordered to pay as part of his
That's not
sentence.
bad.
I've been making my payments, I've been on Social Security, I've been paying what I
But
can
there's
in
nothing-
restitution. Okay. All of a sudden he said, you gotta pay
There's
26,000.
nothing there.
As Walters makes
Out,
his
out,
case,
everything.
there's a man standing a few
There's
feet
nothing
behind
there.
him,
Everything is finished.
and the judge takes notice.
Then I go back to the original court and then possibly,
Hold on a second. Who's this guy staring at me over there?
this is Kim Blandino.
I'm a co-plaintiff in the civil case.
Kim Blandino has nothing to do with the criminal case, and he's not even a lawyer.
What's this?
But he is a co-plaintiff in a civil suit that
What's
Walters
this?
has filed against his
Never
former
seen
attorney.
this set before.
Blandino has earned a dubious reputation for filing frivolous motions
I've
and
never seen
joining
this set
civil
before.
suits where he has no affiliation. But Judge Herndon is not about to let Blandino disrupt his courtroom.
Okay, are you an attorney?
No,
Then you need to sit down and quit staring at me like
I
somehow
don't care
you
about the
need to
pain.
talk to
I
me
care
or
about
whatever.
the pain. The pain is a...
No,
Okay.
I'm gonna make a record about you,
Is it
but you need to sit
solid
down and be
water
quiet, 'cause you're
color
not a
traveled?
plaintiff or a defendant in my criminal case, you're not an attorney,
Student
you
kid.
can't appear in my criminal case and
It's
act
just
like an
made out
attorney.
of...
Be quiet.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
tin
well,
and
go ahead.
plastic.
Walters continues, but when Blandino physically reacts to Judge Herndon's comments, the judge has a few choice words for him in his habit of acting like an attorney.
You know what? Let me tell you something. You want to act like an act like an but I'm telling you, that gets you nowhere in court. And you know what else gets you nowhere? Sitting in the audience of a court while a judge is engaging with somebody and shaking your head and being all demonstrative. So get out.
I'm sorry, it was inadvertent.
No, it wasn't inadvertent. Don't give me that. It's not inadvertent. It's never, get out. It's never inadvertent when you come in and act all disrespectful to people.
Blandino exits, but feeling disrespected, he later files a motion to have Judge Herndon disqualified from the case. The motion was denied.
State of Nevada versus Kim Dennis Blandino.
Okay.
18 months later, Blandino's back in court, but this time as a
Well, what the
defendant.
hell is the book
He's been
has like
charged with
a
extortion and is under house arrest.
question.
He has a hearing before Judge James Bixler, who's well aware of Blandino's history as a wannabe litigator. Blandino's representing himself, but the court has appointed Steve Alter as co-counsel, which puts Blandino in a combative mood.
Mr. Albee, will you accept appointment as stand-by counsel?
Have an objection?
Shut up.
I have a right to object, I believe, Your Honor.
You have the right to get held in contempt of court. And that's what's gonna happen if you don't shut up. I'm not putting up with any of your crap here today. Your reputation has preceded you. Appointment on him as standby counsel.
Your Honor, I can, however, just let me know, after we spoke outside, wanted a little bit of time to speak to me in detail about his case and his desires, and then also to look into my background a little bit before he was.
Wanted to interview you?
Yes, sir.
I object to that laughing, Judge.
I object to you. I think the defendant has already categorized himself as a vexatious litigant.
I object.
You object.
You should all you want.
Can I make a record?
No.
I've got a motion.
What did I just say? What did I just say? No.
I can't say anything.
No.
This one I seen this one
Blandino
before.
refuses to quit,
Let's do that
to
one.
the point where others in the courtroom begin reprimanding him.
Shut up. Shut up.
This one's right here.
Blandino
Getting real
finally gets
close,
the
you're getting
necessary
remanded.
grace to meet with the court-appointed
Getting
counsel.
this close.
Thank you. I think you're very informational, sir.
Okay. So,
Blandino remained under house arrest for extortion and impersonating a public officer.
We've all heard of a judge throwing the book at someone for their crimes, but you're about to see a judge who's throwing a book for a whole different reason.
Lawyers and a judge are trying to select a jury, a critical step in ensuring a fair trial. The defendant is Jose Azucena, who's charged with 40 counts of sexual misconduct, including kidnapping and rape of a minor. It's day 2 of jury selection, and Azucena's attorney is interviewing a prospective juror who sits off camera.
okay.
The judge listens on.
So can you be fair to both sides?
This one.
Biased.
That goes this one. That goes this way. That way.
It looks like the judge has taken issue with a potential juror.
No, listen, what we're not gonna have with this jury is people coming in overnight and thinking and trying to make it up now so they can get out of the jury. That's not gonna happen, all right?
And then this one goes this
It's like
way.
when someone says something yesterday under oath and changes it because they're trying to fabricate something and get out of serving on this jury, there's gonna be repercussions.
The judge is unsatisfied, demands an explanation.
What's going on here? Tell me what's going on.
I said I had other issues yesterday and you said you'd get back to me.
All right, so why do you got issues? Why can't you're saying you can't be fair and impartial to both sides? You're gonna completely throw out our entire justice system because you don't want to be fair and impartial.
Disgusted with the juror, who happens to be a nurse, the judge throws a book, which turns out to be a pocket-sized version of the U.S. Constitution, against the wall. Things are heating up, so attorneys attempt to intervene.
You know what I mean? We approach. You can't approach. You're not gonna be fair and impartial.
Like I said, with my nursing history, and I've been involved with child abuse, and I've been involved in incest with young girls that deliver 13 years old. It makes me rather, biased.
Mayor, you're off this jury. You're off this jury. You're removed. Go home. All right?
The nurse is excused from jury duty, not before the judge gets in one last remark.
I don't like your attitude.
The case against Azucena eventually makes it to trial, and he's found guilty. Sentenced to life in prison, But that's not where the story ends.
You're saying you can't be fair and impartial to both sides.
The Nevada Supreme Court overturns the conviction, claiming Judge Scotty created an intimidating environment which tainted the jury panel. Ascertain is awarded a new trial and a new judge. Until then, he remained in custody. Although Scotty apologized for the incident, his outburst resulted in ethics charges, courtesy of the Nevada Commission of Judicial Discipline.
You're removed. Go home. All right? I don't like your attitude.
We head to Orlando, Florida. The defendant is 39-year-old Jeremy DeWitt. He's been charged with impersonating a police officer. DeWitt runs a company that provides private security escorts during funeral processions.
I'll get the light before the bridge, you get the light after the bridge.
It's a legitimate business that DeWitt is authorized to operate.
Get to me, get to me, get to me.
What he's not authorized to do is direct traffic.
Go past me! Go past me! Repo, take this intersection and keep this under control.
Weave through traffic at illegal speeds.
It's still 110 down this road.
Or, most notably, pull over
Hey! Pull over! Pull over!
and confront drivers while dressed somewhat like a real officer.
What are you doing? What the does it look like I'm doing, dumb? Get the over before you find out.
Stop pretending you're a police officer.
Listen, I know what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. What you need to do is figure the out before you start talking.
With such blatant behavior, the local media gets wind of what DeWitt is up to. Before long, he appears on the radar of the real police. And in 2019, after police observed him breaking traffic laws, he's arrested while working a funeral.
Who is this guy? Oh, that's Jeremy right there?
When officers question DeWitt about the registration of his motorcycle, which comes up as stolen, he becomes livid.
Sergeant, my vehicle's not stolen, Sergeant. I can tell you right now, everything's being videotaped on my body cam, Sergeant. I have the registration, Sergeant.
Officers search DeWitt and find an arsenal of police gear, including handcuffs, mace, and a baton.
Because the Honda was stolen, and we got the tag back from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and then we registered it to that motorcycle.
But as DeWitt loudly attempts to explain the situation, officers have had enough.
Just chill. If it's an issue, we'll figure it out. But you screaming and yelling if you're going to change that. Well, just sit tight. Okay.
DeWitt's charged with impersonating an officer and released on bond. But while out on bond, police get a warrant for DeWitt's own body camera and find a wealth of incriminating footage, including more pullovers. And additional confrontations with drivers DeWitt considers interfering in his escorting a funeral procession.
Hi! How are you today?
Good, how are you?
You must have missed that it's 45 through there, and then you use the turning lane to cut through traffic. I understand you're in a nice car and everything, but let's be a little more mature the way you drive. Let's drive the right way then.
Are you a cop?
Don't worry about what I am, because I'm a state agent, so what you need to do is make sure you're doing the right thing, boy.
The driver pulls away. It doesn't take too long for DeWitt to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. The way you almost hit me, boy, is the way it's professional, bitch ass.
You're not a cop.
You want to fuck? How's that?
Stopping me.
I didn't pull you over. Did I make a traffic on you, boy? Come on, let's go, bitch.
DeWitt's arrested again and brought before the judge with 2 more charges of impersonating an officer.
You were arrested pursuant to a probable cause warrant for falsely impersonating an officer.
Once again, is released on bond.
Thank you.
Turns out DeWitt has quite a history of playing cop. He was convicted of the same charge back in 2001. But DeWitt can't seem to stay out of trouble. And after multiple arrests for impersonating an officer, he's back in court again.
Your name, sir?
I'm sorry, Jeremy Charles DeWitt, Your Honor.
This time he's not here for being a fake police officer, but for failing to register a vehicle as a very real sex offender.
Oh, shit.
In 2005, DeWitt was convicted of lewd or lascivious battery involving a victim between 12 and 15 years old.
Oh, wow.
Mr. DeWitt, you're here today because you're arrested on an arrest warrant for a sex offender violation, failing to register as required. You're also out on bond on 5 charges of falsely impersonating an officer.
This stated his bond to be revoked on his prior cases, giving the new law violation, continued pattern of criminal activity, and he also poses a flight risk.
The prosecution again asks that his bond be revoked. But once again, DeWitt catches a break.
No, I'm going to leave the bond in place.
As for his remaining impersonation charges, until his trial begins, DeWitt remains free on bond. Next, we're in Tampa, Florida, for a Zoom court hearing.
All right. So we're here on State of Florida versus Jennifer Carvajal.
The 24-year-old is facing serious charges, including DUI manslaughter after a passenger in her car was killed and 2 others severely injured in a high-speed car accident. This police dashcam video shows the car driven by Carvajal traveling at 111 miles per hour on a Florida highway. After clocking her speed, the officer hits the lights and begins the pursuit. Down the freeway, he catches up, but as he closes in to pull Carvajal over, she whips the car onto the shoulder and then skids out of control. After the car jerks to the right, a second camera on the officer's cruiser shows Carvajal's car speeding off the highway and hitting an embankment, sending it airborne. After flying over a fence, the car crash lands into a car dealership lot, hitting a parked truck and then a light pole. At the scene, emergency personnel discover the 2 passengers were ejected from the car